All right. Now I finally am not alone. We've got our feature discussion coming up in a second. We can't wait to talk about the most shocking movie that we've ever seen in our lives, potentially.
hmm
But first, we got to welcome Derrick back to the podcast. What's up, dude?
What's up? It's good to be back.
Yep.
Feels
And by
feels as
podcast,
fresh as feels as fresh as it always has.
good. Yeah. It's been nice. We've gotten to catch up a couple times and off the podcast. And now, as you can see from this glorious HD video, we're on YouTube. You're a big YouTube guy. You've been pushing us to make this
hmm
transition for years, and finally did it.
Yep. Thanks to your hard work and effort.
Yeah.
Should have been done a long
um,
time ago, but
yeah. So you're gonna get to hear the substance review and see our disgusting, hideous faces. While if you
yep.
want the recap of what we talked about last week and what we're going to talk about next week, then you can subscribe to New Release on Spotify or Apple and get the full podcast there. But, we're
Nice.
putting on our best faces for video, and that cannot be maintained for an hour. That can only be maintained for like 15 minutes before they
Okay.
melt away. Um,
Before I
all right. Well,
make a drips
yeah.
off.
Before I play the clip, Derek, do you want to just say what we watched this week and set it up in any way that you want?
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, so yeah, we watched The Substance with Demi Moore and I don't know the other actress's name. Do
Margaret
you know?
Qualley.
Thank you. And it's a body horror film, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's a little
Yeah,
taste.
let's go. Let's go.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
There you go. Instant body horror classic.
hmm
Says so in the trailer. Yeah. I wanted to start with our theatrical experience because we've been watching a lot of streaming stuff. We've been watching, you know, TV shows that you can kind of casually watch in the background, like Nobody Wants This last week. And we had one of the most extreme and satisfying theater experiences. You, myself, Mo, and Jen saw it in a small but full theater a week and a half ago, and I guess 2 weeks ago at this point. And I mean, it's one of my favorite theater experiences of all time. And it wasn't like a special event, it was just like, it wasn't like seeing something at the Hollywood with a live composer or an intro or any any kind of pomp and circumstance. It was just an average Thursday night screening in one of Laurelhurst's tiniest theaters, and yet we were in the front row, and everyone was just having a extreme squirmy edge of their seat reaction to the movie. So, what did you think of just like seeing it with a big group of people?
Yeah, it was an unintentional group experience. It was awesome. Like you said, we were sitting in the front row, which normally would be kind of a shitty place to be, but in this theater that we saw it at, Laurelhurst in Portland, um, perfect amount of distance from the screen, nobody in front of us, but the entire time, all the squirmy and gross moments, you could hear the entire audience behind us uh, laughing or just throwing up, making
Yeah,
all sorts of noises. Yeah, it was really yeah, the experience at the theater was awesome.
yeah. It was like surround sound in terms of the physical discomfort people were in. I mean, not just discomfort. Like there's so much dark humor and like nervous laughter that
Yeah.
we were hearing throughout the movie. Like I could see
Yeah.
the rest of the people in our row, which was just our friends and one random dude. Um, but I'm kind of glad I couldn't see like I would have been distracted by like watching the rest of the people in the theater if I had been further back. So it worked
Yeah.
out it worked out well that we were sitting up front, but we still got like the effect of of seeing it with a group.
Yeah. It was
And
kind of like being at the front of a roller coaster.
yeah, and you could just tell. I mean, I know not everyone that was out in the lobby and out front had come out of the same movie because there were probably more people than could fit in that theater. But there was like a lot of people standing around. I think I went by the time I
Yeah.
came out, y'all were maybe talking to a stranger who had just
We
saw it.
were.
Actually, even
Yeah.
before the movie, somebody was like telling us how crazy it was just on the street.
Yeah.
Um, somebody Mo may or may not have known. I don't know. Um, but
You never
it's
know.
like, yeah, it's a movie that people react to, want to talk about, and there's nothing better than just getting right out of a movie and being able to kind of like revel in it and share that experience with other people. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's you think of Harry Potter, Star Wars, movie going experiences. This was its own, again, unintentional kind of event that
Yeah,
I think everybody found themselves in. It was really cool.
much more unexpected for me. I guess we should probably get into why people were having such a strong reaction to
Oh,
it.
I was delaying having to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Where do you want to start? Do you want to say anything about like the premise of the movie? I mean, it's pretty simple. I guess we can explain. You want to explain, what the substance is and what it does?
Yeah, so you've got the lead, well, I guess lead, whatever. Um, an aging, beautiful woman who's in the fitness industry filming for TV, and she's working with younger directors and stuff, and she's kind of aging out of that role. So she
Yep.
finds this substance where she can take it and she becomes a younger, better version of herself. And yeah, it spawns another human out of her back. We can go into detail about that. So Demi Moore's character basically disappears for 7 days in a refrigerator, passed out, being fed bags of liquid food, while her younger,
Hmm.
better version goes out and takes over her fitness program on TV, and then flip flop that over and over until bad things start happening.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it sounds like a pretty good deal until you actually start getting into how the second birth takes place, which is yeah, like another human crawling out of her back.
Hmm.
Um, her spine gets completely ripped open, and then a lot of fluid and a a gooey Margaret Qualley comes out, and then the upkeep is where it really starts to become um, a tall order to maintain this. Not only the psychological toll that this
Yeah.
takes, like she knows that the younger, better version of herself is living the life that she wants. Um, but and then the younger, better version, God forbid she ever has to go back to being Demi. I mean, the first gross thing is her coming out of Demi Moore's back. Maybe there's
Yep.
others.
And then having to
Um,
sew it up.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of
Very
you get
close
so
up.
desensitized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Horrible suture job.
yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, you have to be comfortable with performing pretty a major repair on the other person. They don't tell you any of this when you sign
No.
up for the procedure, but then you have to like hook an IV up to the other person, and you have to
Hmm.
deal with all that. You have to like inject yourself with a stabilizer every day, and anyway, it's a lot of upkeep, and if you don't keep the schedule, then what I was gonna say is the first thing that really it's just funny what grosses you out in this movie because some of it's so over the top and some of it's so kind of simple.
Yeah,
And it's the finger,
the
Demi
finger's
Moore's dead
fucked up,
finger.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And because we're on YouTube, I have to warn you that
Oops.
I did a lot of I was trying to find imagery and find things to share throughout the episode. So I was googling dead finger, and it didn't matter if I put in the substance. I was not getting any images from the movie. So I'm not gonna subject our audience to that. Here's a little side by side of the new and the old, at least in portrait form, and then that's I guess kind of Elizabeth Sparkle in the picture in her glory, but of course Margaret Qualley coming out at a completely different stage of life in femininity and sexiness. So um,
Hmm.
hard for anyone to compete with that.
It's such an interesting dichotomy of
Sure.
just beautiful like women. Demi Moore is beautiful, so is her offspring, and how disgusting this fucking film is. It's really it's really beautiful and gross at the same fucking time.
Yeah, before I forget, I've got a little clip of them talking about, how vulnerable they had to be and how uncomfortable it was to bear their bodies and explore like the themes of this movie. I wish we saw it with two women and got their reaction to it. But thematically, this is a movie where all the men are gross, horrible
Hmm.
monsters. And not really any of them, none of them are really even characters in the movie. Dennis Quaid is a
Yeah.
studio executive who's just eating shrimp drenched in butter and oogling everyone that comes into his path and just disgusting. Um, but I do, think that the way this resonates with women that are aging, women that are aging in a role other than I know I'm putting myself on display at 40 on YouTube, but a little different for someone whose like livelihood depends on it. So here's them talking about that.
How could you not think about your relationship to your body while you're making this? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm, putting on fake boobs and there's close-up of my butt all day long. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm thinking about my body.
No, of course you are. And, there's, and for me, it's a level of exposure. And it was not about feeling like my most glamorous or most attractive or, the best lighting to highlight the things that you like and to darken the things you don't like. But I think part of that is really, this is a journey also, about that trade so often that can happen by chasing something that you think is better.
Okay, so that's just a little snippet, but
I
yeah,
love Demi Moore's voice.
yeah. Yeah, it's what's crazy is so she's playing a 50-year-old who has aged out of her job as an aerobics instructor on national TV, like the most popular show somehow. And in real life, she's 60. So incredible for her
She looks
in all
great.
the superficial ways, but also in the ways that she's like they're doing things with Margaret Qualley's character, like she mentioned there, she had prosthetic boobs, which didn't know when we were watching it,
Yeah.
but because they're both completely nude, just in unflattering or just uniformly white lighting in a bathroom for large portions of the movie, and then when they are wearing clothes, especially Sue's character, they're just spandex and close-ups of her butt. So it's like quite the, I mean,
Yeah, that's funny.
you could, I'm sure she feels a lot differently about it than the people that are watching it being like, wow, she looks incredible. Like, so it's really a vulnerable position to be put in. The woman who made this movie, Coralie Farja, a French filmmaker who's made one other movie, um, obviously had their trust and their respect because, and she's like a woman in her 40s, that, it would be hard for a male filmmaker probably to work with them in a way that they would have been comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
I also do want to answer the question of like, is this one of just the most visually shocking things we've ever seen? We've watched a lot of weird shit together, and
Yeah.
separately. Like, where does this rank in your shocking viewing canon?
Well, the director is amazing. The way that it all comes together, the dead finger. You said it really well. It's not that gross, but like just within the context of this film, the one thing that sticks out is the pointer finger, and it's Demi Moore's character is still beautiful. It's silly that she wanted to be a better version of herself. I get it in the context of this film, but um, wow, yeah. So when Sue continues to surpass the 7 day period, Elizabeth Sparkles' body starts decaying because Sue's basically taking her lifeblood, and
Yep.
yeah, she turns into a fucking monster. I don't. It's just
Yeah.
it's yeah. It's practical effects. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there was some CGI in there, but man, just the way it was shot, the close-ups of everything, the lighting, and I don't know. Yeah, it was just fucked up.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps you disarmed the whole time you're watching it. Is it doesn't matter if it's like a scene where they're just filming a workout video. The workout video is like fun and bright and candy colored, and then some crazy protrusion like a cucumber like pops out of her
Oh
butt
yeah,
skin.
Jesus Christ, yes.
Um,
Oh, the chicken wing.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
The
my
food
God.
imagery alone, we could have a whole category of that. The shrimp. There was another interview on one of the late night shows. Seth Meyers. I almost pulled in for you, but um, Demi Moore said that that was the grossest scene in the movie for her, and I think Jen said something similar, where Dennis Quaid is eating shrimp,
Yeah,
and the way it's filmed are just these really loud, crunchy close-ups of him ripping the shrimp apart, jamming it in butter,
yeah,
shoving it in his mouth, and then like there's a scene that just like is a close up of car exhaust. Like there's just even the things that aren't body horror
yeah,
are gross. The whole film is of one piece from a stylistic standpoint, where you're never comfortable,
yeah,
and then when the things that are the most easy to take are the prolonged moments of gore, because then you can just kind of like settle in and let it literally wash over you in the final scene, um, where the audience is just being bathed in blood, um, the literal audience in the movie and figuratively
yeah.
for us in the theater. um, it's yeah, like I don't know. The filmmaker has such a eye for production design
Yeah.
and the framing of different shots that you can never let your guard down while you're watching.
No, and the contrast of, the just more, grotesque scenes. You would think watching the film, you see, a young actress, like in the context of the film, this young woman, her body is like tight, young, lean. She's wearing, I hate to say skimpy, but, just like
Yeah,
very attractive things, but never at any point in the film, maybe like a couple of points, you really never think like, oh, is this person being like over sexualized, or like, isn't she hot? It's just like, no, like what the fuck is going to happen next? Like it's really cool because a lot of people would watch this film and be like, oh, she's so hot, she's so beautiful, but it kind of takes the beautiful and hotness out of it and makes it like digestible in a weirdly unhealthy way.
Yeah, it does a good job. I'm looking for my shrimp picture here. Um, it it does a good
Nice.
job of like putting you in the, if you're a male at least, in the shoes of all the male characters in the movie, and you can't help but be repulsed by them. So the last thing you want to do is treat her or like look at her, Sue, in the same way that Dennis Quaid
Yeah.
is looking at her. So like it's clearly condemning that kind of action,
Oh
even
yeah.
though it's reveling in it. It's a real sick joke that it's playing on the audience, and that like it's going to show you the women in the movie naked. It's going to show you them in skimpy clothes dancing. It's going to show you these butt shots, but then it's going to um, show you how disgusting anyone that actually enjoys that
Yeah.
is going to look. So it's pretty
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, obviously, it's fucked up, the situation that they're um, that these women are living in and being put through. Um, One of the things that I found most interesting about this movie, and I'll compare it to Coralie's first movie, is how depressing the kind of the arc or the storyline is for Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley's character. Like, there's no hope. I mean, she loses her job. She gets in a car accident. She goes through this radical transformation to preserve or kind of restart some youth with horrifying consequences. But it's not like there at any point in the story are you like rooting for her or Sue to succeed. You know, I mean, there's nothing to root for. I guess you could root for her to stop, but
Yeah.
that's like that's
That's
it.
one thing I actually wanted to bring up because we didn't when we were standing outside of the theater afterwards. I mean, it's very obvious in the film that well, they say in part of the limited paperwork that comes with the substance, it says you are one,
Yep.
right? And so Demi Moore is not body swapping. It's not Demi Moore's consciousness that's in this younger version, better version of herself. So it's a really interesting thing because Demi Moore is just out for 7 days,
Yeah.
right? She's not sharing the experiences that this younger version of herself is experiencing. So it's I don't the substance just seems like a really fucked up substance because what are you getting out of it?
Yeah, it you bring up a good point, which I don't know if the movie is 100% clear on, like the main way that she knows that that Sue did something wrong, or the other way around once Demi Moore starts sabotaging like her body for Sue, is just the aftermath of like how they leave the apartment. Um
Which is disgusting as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
like
mean,
Sue has a
so
party.
we mentioned the chicken wing. So the chicken wing comes out of Sue's belly button.
Yeah, I kind of blocked that scene out, but yes.
Well,
Yeah.
it's fucked up. I can't eat chicken wings ever again.
Yeah. I did have chicken nuggets today, but that's
That's
fine.
different. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way, but like I think you're right. Like the movie would have you believe that they don't have a mental link. Like she's not living through Sue's eyes when
Right.
she is out cold in either the bathroom floor or once Sue makes like a closet for her and locks her away in the dark. Um, and Demi Moore, like once she takes back over, pretty much from the start, you know, she's got her dead finger, then she's got other like physical ailments. She's got
Half of her
a
face
janky leg.
is old, like just decrepit, falling apart.
Yeah, yeah. Hair's falling out. Like, so she's deteriorating way quicker than she would have. And at one point, she doesn't want to stop because she knows that Sue is succeeding, but I'm not really sure why. I mean, yeah, there's not really, if she's not emotionally experiencing what Sue's experiencing, then what would be the point of her continuing?
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in the film where Demi Moore's character calls the substance dealer,
Yep.
the her doctor, and uh the whoever answered on the other end of the line is like, if you want it to stop right now, just let me know. And she's struggles with it for a minute. She's like, no, okay, let's keep it going. So it's I mean, the story plays out like amazing. You don't really think about that during the film, but afterwards it was kind of like, well, what is she gaining from being knocked out for 7 days? But it makes for a horribly beautiful, grotesque visual for the
Yeah.
for the audience.
I think part of the problem is by the time she calls, she asks if any of it can be
Oh, it could be
reversed.
reversed. Yeah, yeah,
And so even though she's not getting really any that much benefit seemingly from Sue's experiences, she also is just kind of resigned to the fact that like her version, Elizabeth version, is already fucked up. Do you want to talk about kind of the climax?
what was the climax? Demi Moore turns into just a straight up ghoul.
Anyway, they're both conscious at the same time for the first
Hmm.
time
Yeah.
towards the end of the movie, and then they fight. There's kind of
Oh
a
yeah.
hyper real fight scene where you were asking me like, how come Sue can all of a sudden kick her across the room?
Yeah, it
But
was it was exaggerated fight scene where, Sue would kick Elizabeth Sparkles and she'd go flying across the room
well, I
because they
guess
are
what happens
one.
is
Yeah. I've kind of
she kills Demi and then goes to the New Year's performance. Now that I think about it, and so she is about to have her like crowning achievement
yeah, yeah.
of the movie as Sue. So Sue is so successful in her aerobic show that she's getting to host the New Year's gala, which is apparently a big deal. Her and Ryan Seacrest um, are are at the peak of their powers, and her teeth start falling out while she's in her ridiculous giant gown, and then her ear falls off maybe, and she
My mind
eventually makes it
totally
home.
my mind totally
Yeah,
forgot about this on purpose. Okay, thanks for letting me revisit this. Yeah. So
yeah,
keep going.
yeah,
Keep going.
absolutely. Blow by blow. So that's when she goes home and she decides to round up some additional activator, which you only are supposed to use
Oh,
once. So the original
oh
activation
yeah.
green substance that was used to create Sue doubles down on it. So you're not supposed to inject the substance into a being that was produced by the substance, or else
Mhm.
horrifying consequences could ensue. Um, and that consequence is Eliza or Ilisu, the
Oh
monster.
God, yeah.
Yeah. And just when you think the movie is over, basically, there's a whole another 20 minutes of her as like Quasimodo or like a complete monster with a cutout of
Yeah.
Elizabeth's face. It, and she still tries to go through with the New Year's performance.
Yeah. Puts the dress on. She looks like a monster. Demi Moore's
Yeah.
face is on her back, uh, wide open mouth because she has no muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I forgot about that part. Thankfully, yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, honestly, you kind of have to see all of this to believe it or to understand
Yeah.
it. But what I appreciated about the end, and I'm curious if any part of you thought like it would be better if it didn't go as far, but it goes so far as to like have her explode in just like a torrent of a fire hose, a fire hydrant of gore and blood all over the mostly male, like studio executive audience. Like Did you like the monster portion of the movie, or were you ready for it to wrap up before that?
I was ready for it to wrap up just because it was a very disturbing experience, but also it's not real. So I don't, the film had momentum to where whatever the fuck happened was awesome. So
Yeah,
I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, even through that last, 20 minutes.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
wanted to
could
see
see
more fucked up things, and we got.
why waste the creativity and the opportunity that you have with a captive audience. I could see people criticizing that part of it, or maybe saying it's just like silly and goes too far. But the whole movie is like silly and darkly humorous, and I was on board with it to the very end, to the end where the face of Demi crawls out of the back
Oh,
of the
Jesus.
monster and comes full circle to her star on the Walk of Fame on Hollywood Boulevard.
I forgot about that part too. Yeah, like it was unnecessary, but so on board with everything that was happening. Yeah, why not?
Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Coralie Farja, who directed the movie, has made one other movie, Revenge. And I was telling you about this, like, on the front of, like, it could be tough to watch The Substance for a lot of reasons, but just from a stakes in emotional investment in the main characters, you don't have anyone to root for. In Revenge, it's about the bleakest possible subject matter. Um, a woman being taken out to, well, going willingly out to a remote location, but then being surprised when other people show up and one of them rapes her. And then the whole movie is about her getting revenge on the three people that either raped or were complicit in her assault. So this has a clear person to root for. It's basically, like Kill Bill, where you are rooting on the main character. I would highly recommend watching that too.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, last thing we have to do is decide if we want more. So normally we are watching a TV show and we can just decide if we're going to watch another episode or not. In this case, um, we can go in any different direction that makes sense. It could be the next movie by Farja. It could be more body horror. It could be more chicken wings. What do you want more of, Derek, or do you want more of
Oh,
anything?
again, it was so well done. As much as I'm grossed out by the film, it was such an awesome experience. Such a great film. I would recommend it.
Yeah,
More from this director. Absolutely. More,
yeah,
more, more.
hell yeah. Easy recommendation. I should say easy for anyone that you think has the stomach or the interest in watching something like this. Obviously,
Yeah.
I wanted more because I went to the only other thing that the director had made and watched it the next night. Um, as far as like, I don't think we need any more of this story. It was pretty definitive,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty definitive. So I'm good there, but I'll watch
Yeah.
whatever the director makes next.
Hell yeah.
And the actors. I mean, the performances by Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. Demi Moore is having a nice little renaissance in her career, and Margaret Qualley is just on the ascent. So excited to see what both of them make. All right, well, I have a very special surprise for you for the gift shop this week.
Okay. All right. What we got? What's going on?
We have merch.
No fucking way.
Yeah, this is for you.
Dude.
In case you're listening on the podcast, I'm holding a beanie with the new release logo. It's green. It doesn't really look green on my camera, but this one is green. Um,
That is
got a
badass, dude.
You can see the logo a little better on this gray one, and then maybe my favorite of all, the red.
Fuck yeah. Wow.
Yes. So, courtesy of Ashley.
Nice.
I think I'm going to give you the green one,
All right.
and we'll have to wear that on one of our upcoming recordings.
I will be wearing that all year,
Yeah.
forever until I lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, well, that's it for the YouTube portion of New Release this week. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment. We got a comment last week, so that was cool.
Okay.
Let us know if you want more of this or any other things that we discussed.
I've got to hit the road if you can't tell I'm in my van. In
Yeah.
the future, I'll be in my my recording studio.
All good. Well, thanks for joining, man.
All right. See ya.